April 16th, the 2 p.m. session. Okay, so 5 minutes is up and you may now begin your group discussions and come up with your team's answers. Once you're done, please inform me and I'll collect your team's answer sheet.
Do we still have to keep these covered?
So how you keep them is fine as long as you don't look at each other's.
Okay.
So
So,
I assume that it can't be Mr. Jones.
can we, I'm sorry, can we look at our own?
Look at
While
only your
she's
own,
still
exactly,
talking. Oh,
correct.
okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said it couldn't be Mr. Jones.
Could it or couldn't it?
It can't.
It can't be Mr. Jones?
Yes, I think it's the wife.
Yeah, I was going with the wife because it says my clue says that, okay, so they left the elevator, Mrs. Kelly and Mr. Scott left the elevator, and the knife had Mr. Scott's fingerprints, right? And the elevator man saw the wife and Mr. Scott leave, right?
I don't know because Mr. Jones had told Mr. Kelly that he was going to kill him. Mr. Jones told Mr. Kelly that he was going to kill him. And Miss Smith saw Mr. Kelly go to Mr. Jones's apartment at 11:55 p.m. But Mr. Kelly's body was found at 1:30 a.m.
But then the thing also says that his body was found in Mr. Scott's car. So I think it's either the wife that put the body in the car, or Mr. Jones that shot him and put the body in the car.
But what about the knife with the fingerprints? With Mr. Scott? It was found in Mrs. Smith's yard.
Apparently, here it says only one bullet had been fired from Mr. Jones' scan. So
Okay, so let's like each of us tell our like clues.
yes,
I have when Mr. Kelly had a bullet hole in his thigh and a knife wound in his back.
Okay, so we have a
And then-
knife and that's
but then
Mr.
that-
Jones, right?
Yes.
So he has both knife.
yes, and then the elevator man said he saw him leaving with a slightly wound, and I mean he wasn't really injured or something when he was leaving the
What type of wound?
it's not too bad. I mean, so I mean it wasn't when he was bleeding too. He was bleeding, but it wasn't like profusely. So
Well, when police tried to locate Mr. Jones after the murder, they discovered that he had disappeared. And Mr. Kelly's bloodstains were found on the carpet in the hall outside Mr. Jones's apartment.
and also they couldn't find Mr. Scott too because he was unavailable during the murder case.
Mr. Scott?
Yes, he wasn't around.
Yeah, the wife either. They left both the
Yeah.
Mr. Scott and the wife left.
Okay, Mr. Scott. And
So I think we have three people now: Mr. Jones, the wife, and
Because
what's his name?
also, what you said, Mr. Kelly also had motives. Because it's mine says.
I think
Mr. Kelly, wait, Mr.
Okay.
It says, Mr. Kelly had destroyed Mr. Jones' business by stealing all of his customers. So that could be.
I'm
motive.
sorry?
Mr. Kelly had destroyed Mr. Jones' business by stealing all his customers.
That's funny because Mr. Jones had told Mr. Kelly that he was going to kill him.
Exactly, so it could be Mr. Kelly too, because he has the motive.
Wait, no, Mr.
Wait,
Mr.
no.
Kelly's dead.
Oh, yeah.
He's the Mr. Jones may be one of
Yeah, that's
the
what I-
people.
Exactly. Mr. Kelly is dead, so
Mhm.
Mr. Jones had motive to kill Mr. Kelly because
And-
Mr. Kelly destroyed Mr. Jones.
okay, and here too it says one bullet was only one bullet was fired from Mr. Jones' scan.
The bullet taken away from Mr. Kelly's thigh matched the gun owned by Mr. Jones.
Well, it's just a thigh, so like a bullet in the thigh can't kill someone. So that can't be like.
Okay, so alright. So a knife.
So I guess we can like take Mr. Jones out because like a bullet to the thigh can't kill you.
But what if like he was like bleeding? Okay, he wasn't bleeding badly here too. He was like slightly
Exactly.
bleeding.
So if you get a bullet to the thigh, if Mr. Kelly was leaving, right? That's what you said. Mr. Kelly was leaving, so we could like assume, I guess, that he was going somewhere.
And then so What about Mr. Scott? Because he was, I mean, the body was found in his car.
Exactly, was found in his car, and
That could be
the
used to
knife
frame.
and the knife had his fingerprints on it. Because
So-
one of you said he had a knife wound.
Yes, when Mr. Kelly was discovered dead, he had a bullet hole in his thigh and a knife wound in his back.
See, the knife is more likely to kill him because it's in his back.
I agree with
Yeah.
you off the fact that
Okay, good.
he was shot at first, and then that didn't kill him, and he tried to get away, then he was stabbed.
It could be also like it could be like 3 people trying to kill him
Okay,
altogether.
let's see.
Because like all
Let's
of
do
them
this thing.
have
I think. What times do you have there? Let me see your times, because I think we need the times
Mr.
to track everything.
Oh, I forgot to tell you guys. Mr. Jones shot at an intruder in his apartment building at midnight. I mean.
At
Okay.
midnight?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Wait, before you continue. Miss Smith saw Mr. Kelly go into Mr. Jones's apartment at 11:55.
and then Miss Smith says no one left the apartment between 12:25 and 12:45 a.m. And then the elevator man said Mr. Kelly got out of Mr. Scott's room at 12:25. So I think Miss Smith is also lying or something.
The elevator operator reported to police that he saw Mr. Kelly at 12:15.
And then the elevator man went off duty at 12:30. But I also have a clue that Miss Smith often followed Mr. Kelly, so she's kind of creepy.
Okay.
So I think
What's the last time you have like the last
the last time,
the last time you have
Mr. Kelly's body was found at 1:30 a.m.
So my last time is 12:45.
My last time is 12:30.
12:30.
So
What do you have at 12:30 again?
The elevator man went off duty.
And the elevator. Okay.
So that
So,
means
let me
like
see,
the
let me see.
elevator. If your last time is 45, so the elevator man after like 12:30, he didn't see anything.
So
Yeah.
with mine, right? The elevator man said he saw Mr. Kelly at 12:25.
He said he saw Mr. Kelly at 12:25.
Leaving Mr. Scott's room at 12:25. So I mean, so he's the only person he saw at that time, and then he saw his wife also going into the room
At what time?
at 11:30.
And I also have a clue that says Mr. Kelly had been dead for 1 hour when his body was found, according to medical experts working with the police.
What time was that?
I don't have time for that.
And then
Okay.
and that body was found in the park because it was just like Mr. Kelly's body was found in the park.
Yeah, and it says it was obvious from the condition of Mr. Kelly's body that it had been dragged a long distance. So they dragged it to the park.
So okay, so the thing is, I'm not gonna lie. So I think 3 people were involved in the murder case because there's only one person.
Yes.
Can it be like multiple people, or does it have to be one
So
person?
it's one correct response per solution part.
Oh, so okay.
So I have to pick one.
So
Well, it
you
says
can only
he-
have one murderer and one weapon and one place of murder and
The
one
murderer is not a woman, because if he was dragged to the park, the woman didn't drag him to the
Whoa,
park.
sexist match? What does that mean?
I don't think
Exactly,
I think I can
exactly.
drag
Because
it.
I mean,
What if
How
she
big
can
is
do that.
how big is Mr.
So
Kelly?
so
I
I
don't
think
know, but
I think so there's
If you're
threat, right?
strong
I mean,
enough, I think you could pull that off.
who tried to kill Mr. Kelly?
Only reason I say it is because I saw something yesterday where someone died and they were dragged and a woman tried to do it and she couldn't do it, and he was like, "You're gonna help me?" So that's the only reason why that came to mind.
Okay, so
It's possible, but I'm just saying we can't just like.
You're right.
so I think he was killed in an apartment, right?
No, because you said he left the apartment with the wound.
Yes, but then listen, the elevator man went off duty
At 12:30.
at 12:30, so he left the building.
Wait, when did he leave the building?
No, I mean, I don't have the time he was. I mean, the last time I have here is 12:45. But then the elevator man said he saw Mr. Kelly going out of Mr. Scott's room at 12:25. But then you say you have him going on off duty at 12:30, right?
Yeah,
A.M. And then Mr. Kelly was killed when what time you have here?
we don't have a time.
So probably he was killed around.
He was killed he had been dead for an hour when the body was found.
So I mean he was come out maybe around like.
Mr. Kelly's bloodstains were found on the carpet in the hall outside Mr. Jones' apartment. When the police tried to locate Mr. Jones after the murder, they discovered that he had disappeared. Who else disappeared after the murder?
The wife.
Mr. Scott was not available.
Well, the wife says they left. It doesn't say they couldn't find her. They just said they
Okay.
left.
Can I ask a question?
Yes. Sorry, I thought
Do you guys have the relationship between Mr. Scotch and Mr. Kelly?
No.
No.
So I think they're having an affair.
What about
Miss Scott?
What about Miss Cat?
No, wait, Miss Scott. Wait, Miss. Do you have Miss or Mister?
I have Miss Cat here.
Oh, you have
Hey,
Miss.
sorry, Miss Smith. Sorry,
Miss
Oh, Miss
Smith.
Smith.
and I have Mr.
Oh.
Scott.
Mr. Scott and Miss Kelly. I'm pretty sure they're having an affair.
Exactly.
That's what
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because I mean, you can't go to a guy's room. I mean, look at the time.
Mm,
So
Because they left the elevator. I mean, they left the building together. That's what the elevator operator said.
so hold on. That means maybe they had an argument or something, and then she got angry and then used a knife on the husband.
Wait, that makes sense.
We need to identify everybody that's in
Yeah.
the. Okay, so we have Miss Smith.
Yeah.
That was
Miss
she's a creep. So put the
Yeah,
she's a
because
creep.
Miss, you have to.
Yeah.
Okay, like Miss Smith followed Mr. Kelly all the time, right?
Yep.
So now you have Miss Smith and you have Mr. Jones.
And
That-
Mr. Kelly.
Yeah, you have Mr. Jones, but Mr. Jones was probably mad at Mr. Kelly because he stole all his customers.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Mr. Scott and the wife that are always together, apparently, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are our people.
So there's a total of 5.
And then
Four.
Four.
Wasn't it four?
what about Mr. Scott? Because I mean, his car was used.
So now we have our suspects. Now we need our like different motive for each person.
Okay, the motive for the murder.
For each person. So Miss Smith, does anyone have like a motive for Miss Smith?
I think she is actually.
Like one of your clues, does it say anything about Miss Smith?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing it says here is Miss Smith said no one left the apartment between 12:25 and 12:45.
I don't think it's Miss Smith because
No.
Miss Smith is telling that she saw who left the apartment? Who didn't leave the apartment?
And no one left the apartment. So
Okay, so it can't be Miss Smith. I'm
So
like
I should
ruling
take it
out
out.
Miss Smith.
okay, so let me take it out. Okay.
Are we all?
I
are we
agree.
agreeing with
I
that?
agree.
Okay,
I
so
agree.
now we have Mr. Jones, Mr. Scott, and the wife,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
So we have like Mr. Jones has a motive because
Yeah,
They-
he told Mr. Kelly that he
yeah,
was
he
gonna kill him.
told
And then his gun was
That's-
used to.
he told and they stole he stole all his business, right? And the
Mhm.
gun that got shot in the
Yeah.
thigh.
Yeah.
But now we have to find a motive for the wife and Mr. Scott.
Hold on a
Because
second.
there's a lot of evidence that shows the wife and, well, mainly Mr. Scott. Because Mr. Scott, you said the knife, right?
Yeah.
And they have the fingerprints of Mr. Scott on the knife.
So hold on a second. So that means the knife was used in the apartment because you can't have a knife outside the apartment. You get it?
Why can't you?
Why can't you?
Because like maybe I bump into my wife having an affair with someone and we arguing and then
Wait,
Gets
what?
it.
Say that again.
He-
You said you can't have a
a knife outside the
Yeah,
apartment.
you can.
Yeah, you
Put it
can.
in your like
You could people.
pocket.
Yeah, let
You
people.
not know gangs? They put them like right here.
Wow. So I mean, I was thinking like
I agree with that. I agree with that.
So you're like, I was
People,
thinking,
people keep it in their car, like
Yeah.
crazy people out there. Hey, keep it
Exactly.
and just poke,
Okay, so-
you know. I agree.
so he was killed outside the apartment or inside the apartment. That's what I know. Like
I don't know.
from what I.
because the guy said he was bleeding, right?
Mhm.
He was bleeding. So that means he sustained some wounds in the apartment
I
from
think
the
he.
knife.
I think he was shot first, and he tried to get
Yeah.
away, and then he was stabbed.
Ooh, yeah,
No.
that makes sense.
If he was shot, right?
Why would he be stabbed then shot?
No, if he was shot, right? There was the elevator man would have heard some noise, and Miss Smith would have heard some noise.
No, but you
And
have
actually,
I think we think it too much.
Yeah, I
We
think
think
we're
it- we
thinking.
think it
Yeah,
way- we
wait,
think it way
yeah.
too
Because
deep.
you have to see like everything you had. You have Mr. Jones that shot an intruder.
So how come Mr. Jones was shot in Mr. Jones' gun was used in Mr. Smith's room?
You said Mr. Jones
He
shot an intruder.
at midnight.
Midnight.
At midnight.
Mr. Kelly at midnight.
Yeah.
Hold on, so okay.
Miss
hold on.
Smith-
In his apartment.
Miss Smith saw Mr. Kelly go to Mr. Jones' apartment building at 11:15. So the
okay,
intruder is
so-
Mr.
yeah,
Kelly,
So that's
and
what
Mr.
happened.
Jones
Shot him in the leg, right? Because you
Mhm.
said
in
a
the
leg.
thigh.
Okay.
So Mr.
Yeah.
Jones shot
Yeah.
Mr. Kelly.
We have that part down.
Okay.
Okay, so now Mr. Kelly leaves because you said the band saw him, right? The elevator. So Mr. Kelly leaves, and then something happens and he gets stabbed. But by who? Because you have Mr. Scott's fingerprints on the knife.
A knife with Mr. Kelly's blood on it was found in Miss Smith's yard.
Exactly, but it had Mr. Scott's fingerprints on it. I have that. It was found in Miss Smith's yard, but it had Mr.
I'm just curious. Could Mr. Kelly and Mrs. Scott be neighbors, and he took his?
Miss
Knife?
Kelly. Wait, Mr. Scott and Mrs.
okay,
Smith.
okay, hold on a second.
No, I'm sorry,
Listen.
Mr. Jones and Mr.
Oh,
Kelly.
So
okay.
hold on a second. I think I have the idea here. Listen, it says here, Mr. Kelly's wife go into Mr. Scott's room at 11:30. So that means Mr. Kelly didn't know they were having an affair. I think they're neighbors, right? And then he was shot at 12.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's trying to go there to seek something, maybe a medication or something. You get it?
No, what do
I
you
think
mean?
we're thinking.
No, because like
But
it
I
says
like
agree.
because
assuming.
the wife was in the room before he entered the room, in the apartment before he entered the apartment. You get it?
Ooh, wait, I have an idea. Maybe I'm thinking too much.
Yeah.
No, you
Okay,
go ahead.
so,
I'm
look,
open to all.
You said he got shot, right? But
Mm.
they were together in Mr. Scott's apartment.
No, he was shot at 12, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and then the wife was in the apartment at 11:30 p.m.
Okay, but he was shot at 12. Maybe he went out of the room, and then maybe he saw something. Like he saw the wife get out of the room or something.
No, the wife. Listen. It says
Miss,
the elevator man saw Mr. Kelly.
who's the wife? What's the wife's name? Miss who?
Mrs. Kelly.
Mrs. Kelly. Yeah,
Oh,
Mrs.
I have
Kelly.
nothing
Yeah.
with Mrs. Kelly.
So it says the elevator man saw Mr. Kelly's wife go to Mr. Scott's apartment at 11:30 p.m. Right, and then the elevator man saw Mr. Kelly go out of the room at 12:25 a.m. And then the same elevator man saw Mr. Kelly.
That's too big of a gap. You're talking 11:30, then 12. That
Yeah,
that
I
gap
mean,
is way too big.
That's the other thing I have here. And then it's like he saw him, and then he was bleeding slightly. Right?
Okay, wait. What's the first time that you have?
The first time it's 11:30.
Before, like, I think we're
11:30?
like complicated. You know what we should do? Like each person read their clues, like every clue,
Okay.
so we know like all the clues together. You know.
Okay,
You
okay.
get what I'm saying? Now?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you can start.
So, okay. The elevator man saw Mr. Kelly's wife go to Mr. Scott's apartment at 11:30 p.m. The elevator man saw Mr. Kelly go to Mr. Scott's room at 12:25 a.m. The elevator man saw Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kelly was bleeding slightly, but did not seem too bad hurt. Miss Smith said no one left the apartment building between 12:25 a.m. and 12:45 a.m. The elevator man said Miss Smith was in the lobby of the apartment when he left off duty. And then it says here, one bullet had been fired from Mr. Jones' gun, and then the police were unable to locate Mr. Scott after the murder. Mr. Kelly's bloodstains were found in Mr. Scott's car. Mr. Kelly's body was found in the park.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
I'm still going with Mr. Scott because
You-
car.
You think Mr.
Yeah.
Scott?
Yeah.
I think. Well, all right. I'm gonna read mine.
I think it's two people actually hit him.
I
the
think.
wife and the-
I think Mr. Jones killed Mr. Kelly and then tried to frame him with Mr. Scott.
But what you're forgetting is that Mr. Jones only shot him in the leg because
Okay, I'll read off mine.
Okay.
Miss Smith saw Mr. Kelly go to Mr. Jones' apartment building at 11:55 p.m.
wait, did you
Wait.
say Mr.
Miss-
Jones went
Miss-
to Mr. Kelly's apartment?
Miss Smith saw Mr. Kelly go to Mr.
Mr.
Jones'
Jones, oh, okay.
apartment building at 11:55 p.m.
Okay.
Whoa.
The elevator operator reported to police that he saw Mr. Kelly at 12:15 a.m. Mr. Jones had told Mr. Kelly that he was going to kill him. Mr. Kelly's body was found at 1:30 a.m. When he was discovered dead, Mr. Kelly had a bullet hole in his thigh and a knife wound in his back.
Wait, pause. You said the body was found at what?
1:30.
Okay, so we
1:30
know
a.m.
we know the time because you said it was found at 1:30, and I have that. Where is it? Okay, so he had been dead for an hour when his body was found. So an hour before.
12:30.
Yeah. So he died at 12:30 for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, we have that.
Okay.
Are we sure about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I agree. I agree
Okay,
with
should
that.
we write it?
Okay.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Right. That
12:30.
12:30.
It could be the guy person. Wait, the elevator person.
You sure?
No.
No.
Wait. No. Wait.
Wait,
Let me
we're
read off.
just like-
Let me read off the rest
Okay.
Yeah.
before we jump to. When he was discovered, okay, I said that one. A knife with Mr. Kelly's blood on it was found in Miss Smith's yard.
Mhm.
Wait, who's he at?
Just
Smith?
a
Yeah.
knife with Mr. Kelly's blood when he got stabbed in his back.
Whoa.
Okay.
A knife with Mr. Kelly's blood on it was found in Miss Smith's yard.
Okay.
The bullet taken from Mr. Kelly's thigh matched the gun owned by Mr. Jones.
Can I say something? Because Miss Smith also lied here. She was like, no one left that apartment from 12:25 to 12:45.
Wait, we're thinking about the time too much.
So you said 12:25 to.
Yeah, and 12. I mean, she lied to the police because the battalion said a different thing, and she said a different thing here. So I think she lied to the police.
Okay, hold on. Let me just finish the
Yeah.
rest. When police tried to locate Mr. Jones after the murder, they discovered that he had disappeared. Mr. Kelly's bloodstains were found on the carpet in the hall outside of Mr. Jones' apartment. Okay, before you read yours,
Mhm.
it's clear that Mr. Kelly went to Mr. Jones' apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For what? If he told him he was gonna kill him.
But I have, I
Exactly.
still don't think it can be Mr. Jones because you said, okay, he said there was a bullet in his thigh, right?
Yeah, and then
So,
like one bullet was
wait,
fired from Mr. Jones' gun.
wait. The thigh you can't die from a bullet in your thigh. Trust me, you can't, like,
Okay.
you can't die from a bullet. in your
Are you
thigh.
sure of that?
Yes.
You can't bleed out, you can't hit
Well,
an
you
artery,
can-
you can't bleed
No,
out?
Well, yeah,
it's
but
true,
you
and it's
bleed
true
out,
because
but
the guy said he wasn't
He
really
was,
bleeding.
yeah, he said he
Slightly.
was
Slightly
slightly
bleeding.
bleeding.
Okay.
So that can't be like the.
So he grazed him, probably.
Yeah. So he obviously left or like ran out or whatever, and blood started like gushing
Okay.
out, I guess.
And that's how the blood was
Yeah,
outside the
that's how
apartment.
the blood was down.
So what are you gonna do
apartment.
inside Mr. Scott's room? That's what I
Wait.
know. Like,
Wait, that's what happened, and then he left, right?
Mhm.
They found the bullet obviously because it's in his thigh, but
mhm.
then we have the knife. The knife is in his back. That's the only thing that can kill him. The knife,
Okay, so
because a knife in your back is like.
Okay, so you read your clues now.
Okay, so Miss Smith often followed Mr. Kelly. The knife found in Miss Smith's yard had Mr. Scott's fingerprints on it.
whoa.
Okay? Mr. Kelly had destroyed Mr. Jones' business by stealing all of his customers. Mr. Jones shot an intruder in his apartment building at midnight. The elevator operator said that Mr. Kelly's wife frequently left the building with Mr. Scott.
Whose wife left the building?
Mr. Kelly's wife left with Mr. Scott frequently.
Frequently.
Yeah, wait,
See?
wait,
I'm not fair.
pause. Mr. Kelly's wife disappeared after the murder. The elevator man went off duty at at 12:30 a.m. It was obvious from the condition of Mr. Kelly's body that it has been dragged a long distance. Mr. Kelly had been dead for 1 hour when his body was found, according to medical expert working with the police.
What'd you say about 12:30 a.m.?
The elevator man went off duty.
Okay.
Really?
Exactly. Well, that's why I was thinking like he died at 12:30, but that doesn't have time to go and like stab the person.
You're right.
So it can't be like with the money because, I mean, it's gonna be like, it can't be in. So,
I don't think it can be the elevator man because he went off duty at that time, and Mr. Kelly died at that time. Or maybe he can't. He I don't know.
No, I'm with you on that. That's just
Yeah.
too
Yeah,
close
it's
of
too
time. I'm
close,
with
right?
you.
It's
Yeah,
too
that's
close.
way too close.
so what about Mr. Scott and Mr. Scott's wife, Mr. Kelly's wife?
Mrs. Scott and
Yeah,
Mr.
right?
Kelly's
It's a
wife,
little
they left
iffy.
frequently.
So they have an affair.
So this is just me. I'm not saying this is it. So what I get is that Mr. Jones had the motive to
Yeah.
kill Mr. Kelly, but Mr. Scott may have stabbed Mr. Kelly
Upon a-
because he wants to be with his wife.
That's what I was thinking too. Cause we know the murder weapon is a knife, right?
Okay.
'Cause I'm pretty sure it's a knife. Do you?
I agree. I agree it's the
right?
knife.
Okay, it's the knife.
Okay, so we agree it's the knife.
So I'm also saying, this is my opinion. Like, Mr. Kelly
Mm-hmm.
entered the room and saw his wife there
Okay.
because the wife was there at 11:30, right? And then during 11:35, earlier on, Mr. Kelly was with what's his name? Mr. Jones.
Jones,
I think they
yes.
had an argument,
Okay.
and then Mr. Kelly accidentally shot him in a tie. But if he wanted to kill him, I could probably kill him already. Because he shot in a tie.
I don't think it was well.
Because
Probably
they had an argument or
Probably
something.
Mr. Kelly went to Mr. Jones' apartment, and Mr. Jones thought it was an intruder, so he shot.
him.
So it was an
Okay.
accident. That was an
Accident.
accident.
He shot him on accident.
Yeah, on accident.
And then he probably left because he
Yeah.
got scared.
Exactly.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. True.
That's what happened.
And then Mr.
Mr. Kelly.
Scott saw him, saw Mr. Kelly. Wait, what
No,
was it called about Mr. Scott?
Mr. Kelly went to Mr. Scott's room.
Mr. Kelly went to Mr. Scott's room.
I think he wanted to medication
Wait,
or
did
something.
you have that as a clue or?
Yeah, I mean it was here. The Leviathan saw Mr. Kelly go to Mr. Scott's room at 12:25.
Okay, at 12:25, right? We have
Mr.
that.
Scott did it.
It's either Mrs. Scott or
It was.
wait, yeah, it's
I think it was Mr. Scott.
yeah.
So that means
me
we're having
too.
some-
So what happened was he got shot. Then he tried to get away, go to I guess
Mr.
Mr.
Scott's
Scott's room
to
for
get
Shelter or
help,
something.
but
Exactly.
he saw his wife,
With
and then
him.
he
With him.
left. He left like outside to go
Yeah.
outside, and then Mr. Scott followed him outside, stabbed him, put
and
it
took
in
his
his
car,
car,
and
dragged
dragged him
it.
to the
Dragged it out to the park.
park and even
Mm.
there.
That
And
was
then
good, guys.
Mr. Scott was nowhere to be found. So that means it's Mr. Scott. But the police said he was
You
nowhere
guys
to
are
be found.
just so smart.
So yeah,
So
But what about the wife?
exactly.
Well, the
What
wife
about-
probably disappeared, like, because she was there.
she was probably ashamed because she was having an affair with Mr.
So,
Scott.
Yeah.
so my question is, who is Miss Smith? Who is she?
She's a creepy lady.
Miss
Who
Smith,
follows Mr.
I think
Kelly.
she's like the nosy. Or
Wait.
she,
The knife couldn't be in the car. The knife was in Mrs. Smith's yard. How did it get in Mrs. Smith's yard?
does Miss Smith live next to Mr.
Nobody knows.
See that we don't know. Okay,
Or
so
maybe he went to Mrs. Smith's yard. and
Maybe
then-
he like tried to like pin it on Mrs. Smith because like they're always like she's always following Mr. Kelly. So maybe like he tried to pin it on him. No.
Maybe
possible.
maybe because I
I
mean
mean, that's a
yeah.
possibility.
But then I watch a lot of crime.
No, I was
movies.
about to.
It's like it's always like you think it's that person,
But
but
then
it's
it's
there's
not.
a twist and it's not that person.
I was watching Prison Break. You
Right,
got me over here
exactly.
thinking like, no, we're wrong.
so.
Over here trying to be Michael Schofield, and I'm trying.
Love that show.
I'm trying
Oh
to
my
be Michael.
god.
It's just not working out right now. I feel like we had it right, but now we're just.
No, but then,
What did we say?
What if we are wrong though?
No, I think we're definitely
We're
right about
that- the like
right.
time.
So
the time.
but where the
place.
yeah, where the murder happened?
Miss Smith's house.
Hold on.
No.
Discovery.
Where was the blood found?
What's the blast thing? I mean, he was or dead
When
already.
he
so.
was discovered dead, Mr. Kelly had a bullet hole in his thigh and a knife wound in his back. A knife with Mr. Kelly's blood on it was found in Miss Smith's yard.
I'm saying like, how did it get to the yard?
I mean, I was trying. I don't really understand.
Like, I have no idea how it got to
Mr.
the
Kelly's
yard.
blood stains were found.
Do you have a relationship between Miss Smith and Mr.
They were always leaving together.
Miss Scott or something?
Yeah, Mrs. Kelly and Mr. Scott were always leaving.
No,
together.
Miss Smith. Miss Smith and
Oh,
Mr.
no, I don't have
Mr.
to
Scott or something.
Mr. Kelly's blood stains were found on the carpet outside the hotel in Mr. Jones' apartment.
Wow. So
Well, we decided for that. That was like the
Yeah,
accident. and
that was
then-
an accident.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to. When police tried to locate Mr. Jones after the murder, they discovered he had disappeared.
Why did he disappear?
Okay, so I think it's
and,
clear.
and I think it's not Mr. Jones because it's a one bullet was fired.
I think it's clear.
Yeah.
Mr. Jones clearly shot
Yeah.
Mr. Kelly, but he didn't kill him, even though he said he was going to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mr. Scott did.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
That's what I think too.
So it's
but
not
then
Mr.
what's
Jones?
the motive? Maybe the motive
What's
was
Mr.
because they saw.
The wife.
Yeah,
Wait,
the
who left with Mr. Kelly's wife often? Who was seen with Mr.
Mr.
Kelly?
Scott.
Mr. Scott.
Mr. Scott was.
Yeah.
Mr. Scott was jealous of Mr. Kelly. He wanted to get Mr. Kelly out the picture and wanted to kill Mr. Kelly so that he can have Mrs. Kelly and be happy.
No, I think Mr. Scott and the wife dragged his body to the park because I mean one person can do
Okay.
it.
I don't think the wife did anything. She was probably like, "Oh, I'm in the room," and then somebody like Mr. Scott ran out and like,
No,
"I'm gonna
'cause
stab your
It's only one
husband."
person. They have to be two people.
It's
to-
one. It's
Sure.
the murder. It's only.
Yeah,
one
yeah,
person.
exactly. But then dragging the body to the pack, like you said.
Okay, like he said, Mr. Scott probably could do it. Maybe he was really buff.
I take my sexist comment back. I'm just saying the likelihood of of it being somebody, a woman dragging Mr. Kelly, I doubt it.
Yeah.
Unless they're really just trying to get us here, where I just don't know.
I'm still leaning towards Mr. Scott.
I mean,
I think so
the
as
murderer,
well.
I'm
It's
with
Mr.
Mr.
Scott.
Scott as well.
Are we writing?
Yes,
Are we sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Okay.
I'm satisfied with that
Okay.
answer.
Everything is on him.
I feel like it, even though Mr. Jones had the motive,
Exactly. Mr. Jones probably had the, but I don't think like
Mr.
stealing customers is like a great motive to kill someone.
his business,
His business.
he was, you never know if he
He
was
could have
making a
his
lot
business
of
and
money and then
everything,
he
yes.
moved next door. Next thing you know, like, I'm just saying, look at it this
Yeah.
way, as if he owned
But
a
saying
deli
like
or
you
something.
said, saying I'm going to kill you doesn't like imply that I'm actually going to kill you because you say a lot of
Right.
things like
No, but then to the
He could have said it, I'm gonna kill you.
yeah,
Yeah, but
like,
he
I'm gonna
could've said
kill
that.
you.
but then to
you
the
know?
police, it's a big
yeah,
deal.
to the
like,
police
Yeah.
it's a big deal, but like it doesn't have to be him.
The motive.
So what do you have next?
You have the place and the motive.
I think the place will be.
I think it's outside of the building. No, it can't be. That's
No,
like
because you can't keep it outside. People see.
much.
Will we get the correct answers after we hand these in?
At the end of the study, we're gonna email everybody.
Oh,
Oh,
this is
okay.
really-
Because I'm actually gonna be like, I actually want to know now.
Yeah.
Like, tell me how. No.
Okay,
Um,
so I'm thinking, they killed him in the apartment.
I don't think
Because
so though. 'Cause
12:01 a.m. they will be outside the apartment.
I don't think they killed him in the
And they
apartment
dragged him
because
out?
it can't be in the apartment because the elevator person saw Mr. Kelly leave.
He was off duty by then. 12:30.
he was
No.
killed at 12:30.
So
He was,
off-
no, but you said it. Mr. Kelly left right, like outside the apartment, and he had already been shot.
Okay, yeah. So maybe he was actually like leaving. To like, I mean, he was mad because his wife and he and Mr. Scott were doing something. You get it?
Mm,
And
I
like,
do
oh,
understand
shit.
what you're saying.
And then he was angry and he left.
Exactly. So
And they
he
followed
left,
him
and then Mr. Scott followed him.
And-
Does anybody see something like where it says the elevator person saw Mr. Scott?
Yeah. The elevator man saw Mr. Kelly go to Mr. I mean, okay. He left. Yeah. So yeah.
Wait, what did
Wait,
you say?
what?
Wait. So
You
hold on. Hold on a second. No, I don't have the time he left though. I only have the time he entered the room.
Oh.
So yeah. So I think he was killed in the room. I think so.
When he was this, oh no.
I don't think he was killed.
What time do you have him leaving the room,
Who's leaving the room?
Mr. Kelly?
I don't have the time. Leaving.
You have it here?
No, I don't have it either.
Okay, so I think he was killed in the room because
I don't think he was killed in the
Are
room.
you sure?
I don't think so in the room either. No.
Because it doesn't
couldn't
make
be killed
sense
in
to
the
be
room.
killed in the room. Cause
Well, he was dragged. Just know
yeah,
that.
he was dragged probably from like the.
They can drag him from the room.
exactly
He was outside when he
Wait,
got
so-
killed.
outside.
Yeah, he was
Y'all
outside
think he
for
dragged
sure.
him that far from?
Because if he had dragged him from the.
And nobody saw that.
Okay, but that's the
Yeah,
way.
that would be like really
okay.
like.
That
Okay.
did-
And if and for that, if like inside the apartment, I'm
rather
pretty
pick
sure
you
they're
up.
like.
But then,
I'm pretty sure their cameras.
but
like,
then
in
Miss
the
Smith- Miss
apartment,
Smith
so
said-
they would have
Miss-
seen that.
But then hold on, Miss Smith said like no one left the apartment building between 12:25 a.m. and 12:45 a.m.
No one. Ooh.
Oh shit.
And then Miss Smith was actually Miss Smith was always trailing Mr. Kelly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why was he killed?
No one left the apartment
No
between
one?
what time?
No one. 12:25 a.m. and 12:45 a.m.
And he was killed at 12:30. So he's right. He might be right. He might have been killed in the apartment.
That's so true. Right
Because
now.
if he was killed at 12:30 and no one left the apartment between 12:25 and 12:45, unless she's lying, which
Yeah.
I don't think that's fair. You
Exactly.
can't lie to us.
No, but then I think in a way I think she's lying. In a way I think she's right because
I
I
don't
mean,
think
the
she's
knife was
lying.
found in her way, in her apartment, right?
I don't think she's lying.
Who'd you say said nobody left between?
Miss Smith
Miss Smith. Okay.
And the knife was found in Miss Smith's
apartment or something.
apartment, and with Mr. Scott's fingerprints on it.
Okay then I think she's right.
A
Okay, then
knife
she's
with
right.
Mr. Kelly's blood was found in Miss Smith's yard.
With the fingerprints.
Of
Mr.
who?
Scott. Mr.
Okay.
Scott.
So Mr. Scott stabbed Mr. Kelly and then threw the knife in Miss Smith's yard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
essentially.
that makes sense.
Okay.
Mhm.
But where? Where? the
Okay.
place of
Oh,
murder?
I get it right. Listen. So I think so. The police found a knife in her apartment and were questioning her.
Okay.
What happened? It's like no one left the building during these times.
Between 12:25
Exactly.
and
You
12:45.
get it. So the murder case happened in the building, in the apartment.
Makes sense.
it might happen in the apartment.
What happened? There was something with someone's car.
Yes, they dragged it to the car.
Whose car is it?
Mr. Scott's car. The last things were in the car.
Wait, what? Mr. Who?
Mr. Scott.
Mr. Scott.
Yes.
His car?
Yeah.
His car had whose?
Mr. Kelly's blastings were found in his car.
How? Why in his car though?
They put him in the trunk?
But he was dragged though.
So they dragged him and put him in the
Dragged
car.
like a long distance. What is?
That's what that says?
What would like a long distance?
No, to the
be
park.
like?
They dragged him a long distance to the
I'm
park.
sorry,
Back to the park.
read the one where it says he was dragged.
Yeah,
It was obvious from the condition of Mr. Kelly's body that it had been dragged a long distance.
Okay,
Yes.
so,
a long
so,
from the
distance.
building
so the
down to the
thought of me thinking that he was dragged from the building went completely out the window. He was in the building, I agree. He was in the
Yeah.
apartment. Remember I was saying before, I don't think they were dragging that far? Yeah, they definitely,
But then what about the car? Did something had to happen inside the car for the blood to be inside Mr.
He was
Scott's
bleeding.
car?
He was bleeding. Remember? He was bleeding from the gun.
No, but it was Mr. Scott's car. If like they killed him inside the apartment building, they
Put him in the
dragged
car,
him.
and the body was found in the park or something.
They dragged him
Uh-huh.
to the car
Mhm.
because the blood is in the car.
okay.
So like the car has to be somewhere in here, and it was found. And the body was found in the park.
Uh-huh.
So something happened in the car for sure.
He was dead already.
I'm not saying that he died in the car. I'm saying that they dragged him probably to the car,
Okay.
and then they drove from the car to the park. But then, would a long distance be from the apartment to the car? You know what I'm saying?
No.
Maybe.
Yes.
Is
it
that
could
like a
be.
long distance?
Yeah,
we
maybe
don't
from
know.
the fifth floor or something.
Drag. We
See
don't
that?
know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Drag the long distance.
Cause if
Could it have been dragged from when it got out the car, from the car, like to the park?
I don't know,
Is
cause it
that
says
what you-
Mr. Kelly's body was like in condition that you could see that it was dragged.
He got dragged a lot.
Exactly. So if you can see that a person was dragged, like
He got dragged from the
along.
building.
Yeah.
From the building to
He
the
got
car, and from the car to
And,
the park.
and the so he definitely, I'm gonna tell you why he got dragged from the building, because the person the elevator operator
Mhm.
wasn't there at 12:30,
Exactly.
so he did get dragged from the building. They was able to get by the elevator operator because he was already off.
Yeah.
Because it says the elevator operator reported to police that he saw Mr. Kelly at 12:15.
So place of murder, we're gonna say the apartment. Whose apartment?
Mr. Scott's apartment.
Mr. Scott's
Yeah.
apartment? Wait.
Who's apartment?
Pause. No.
You know,
Wait. Something doesn't make sense to me. You know what I'm like a little iffy about is that
what?
you said that he left, right?
No, he didn't leave. He didn't leave.
Because the elevator
The
person.
elevator man actually, okay, I have it here. It's like the elevator man saw Mr. Kelly go to Mr. Scott's room at 12:25 a.m.
No, what about the part with the leg thingy that was like bleeding?
The leg. Oh, the leg.
He got shot by Mr. Jones.
Okay,
Okay, so check it. You said, what time was that? 12:25?
12:25.
Okay, and he was killed at 12:30, and he was in whose apartment?
Mr. Scott's room.
Mr. Scott's
Okay,
room.
so it happened.
Mr. Scott was with his wife in the room.
I have here two things. I have Mr. Scott's room and Mr. Scott's apartment. So they're the same thing too.
I think
Wait,
it-
room and apartment.
I don't know if it's the same thing.
Same,
But
same,
I don't
same
think they
difference.
would change it. I don't know.
Room, apartment, his apartment room. I think Mr. Jones shot Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kelly then tried to, I guess Mr. Jones and Mr. Scott are either neighbors also, like they all live within this, obviously they all live within the same
Apartment or
complex,
something,
the
yeah.
apartment
Yeah.
building. And when Mr. Kelly left Mr. Jones's apartment building after he was shot, he went to Mr. Scott's room where he saw his wife, and then we saw his wife and Mr. Scott.
Making out or something.
They were probably they were probably doing something,
Mhm.
and then he's already got a bullet in him. And he's like, what's going on? And then Mr. Scott's like, all right, let me get rid of him. Stabs him in the back as he's trying to get away. Then they're like, what should we do with the body? I don't know. Let's drag it. Now it's at 12:30, and the operator gets off at 12:30. So now they're dragging the body outside in the car. Mr. Jones is scared because he doesn't know what probably happened to Mr.
So he left because
Mr.
they
Kelly.
would suspect him
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, he would suspect him, so that's why Mr. Jones dipped.
Left,
He got up and
yeah.
left. And then Mr. Scott, is there anywhere in there where it says Mr. Scott could not be found by the police?
Yep.
Okay. So
And Mrs. Kelly disappeared after the murder.
So
So-
Mrs. Kelly took off with Mr. Scott
Exactly.
to go live their
Wait,
life,
but
I
it
guess,
says
because they must have
disappeared
been
after
unfair.
after the murder.
Yeah.
Wait, what does yours say?
The police weren't able to locate Mr. Scott after the murder. So-
Okay, so yeah,
And they weren't able to locate Mr. Jones
because Mr. Jones was like.
because Mr.
yeah.
Jones probably thought that
Yeah.
he killed him. He
Mhm.
probably when he probably shot him, there probably something happened, some kind of scuffle where Mr. Jones
Yeah.
couldn't find Mr. Kelly. And Mr. Kelly's going to get help. He walks in, sees his wife with Mr. Scott. It's like, what the hell? Tries to run
Stabbed.
away,
Yeah.
or
stabbed.
probably they got into a scuffle, stabbed him. Wait, whose knife was it?
I think.
Whose prints were on the knife?
Mr. Scott.
Okay, so they were in Mrs. So he did go to Mrs. Scott. So he
Yeah.
went
So
to
he
Mrs. Scott.
stabbed, and then Mr. Scott were like, "Ooh, Miss Smith is always like suspicious.
Yeah.
Throw it in the
Exactly.
yard."
Yeah,
Yeah.
throw it in the yard, try to frame Miss Smith.
Yeah.
And then the police went to Miss Smith to question her, and she was like, no one left the apartment building between 12:25 and 12:45 a.m. I mean, she was being.
It makes sense because the body was found at like 1:30.
The body was found at 1:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like 12:45 ish, or like 12:50 they left. Right.
Yeah.
Probably took like a long
A
time
long
to get
time
to the
to get
park,
park.
and then.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay. So,
So
I
the
think
place would
the
be
place, Mr. Scott's
apartment.
apartment.
Mhm.
Do we all agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I agree on all these with you guys. Just saying. I agree. Like I think we have it. Like
Hopefully.
Are you right?
hopefully. We right.
Okay. But now we need the motive. Like the
The motive. Like I said, Mr. Scott was with Mrs. Smith, so he probably killed him
Because
because
because the fear of he telling people
adultery.
exactly.
The fear of adultery, and didn't want, I don't know exactly how I want to say it.
But then my motive was I mean my motive, like I was thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Kelly went to Mr. Scott's room
Okay.
to seek shelter because he was being shot or might make a complaint or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then he actually didn't know his wife was in there.
Okay.
And then
I
he's like,
agree.
I
What is
didn't
going
hear
on?
it.
Yeah.
Get it. And then she
Why
was
are
like,
you in here with?
no, like, yo, and then
Something happened. Stabbed him.
Exactly.
Because yep, I agree with
Okay,
what you're saying. Far as
Okay, but what's the motive? What
The
would be right?
I mean the fear
the motive,
the fear of he like
what would be?
That's not a big
So the point is,
motive.
what is Mr. Scott's motive? His
Yeah.
motive would be to kill Mr. Kelly to be with Mrs. Kelly.
no or to kill Mr. Kelly to end I mean the fear of people knowing he was having an affair with her.
Oh,
I don't think that could be a great motive.
You sure?
mm,
I mean someone I mean demeaning your name as in someone an adult or
I don't
something.
think I would kill someone for that.
That's like we're married. I walk in, I see you with him. He's gonna want to kill me because he doesn't want
Everyone to
people
know.
to know that
True.
you're with him, and also that looks. I mean, no.
I think
I understand what you're saying, but
Yeah.
I'm like
I think it was
65%
just
here.
like maybe it was like
35%
shock.
here.
Maybe it was like, oh my god,
No,
What
shock
did I do?
shock
Like,
can actually shock can, I mean he was shocked.
you know, because like he
No,
wasn't expecting Mr. Kelly to
No, the
like
thing is
just come in
if
his apartment.
Mr. Kelly, right, I mean, goes to Mr. Scott's room right after being shot, that means they have good relationship. Prior to, I mean,
Yeah, why would he go to
Ooh,
Mr.
that's-
Kelly?
You understand?
Ooh, that makes sense.
He knew where Mr. Scott lived, and he
Yeah.
knew that they
He-
lived in the
listen,
same apartment.
He didn't
So
even go to the police, right? He went to Mr. Scott straight ahead before making a complaint